All right, this is my third take. Hopefully the phone doesn't run out of storage. So here we go. This is my first ever Bible study on YouTube. I'm very excited. I'm going to start this study with one of my favorite Bible verses. And yeah, preface before I begin, I do want to say that, I'm calling it a Bible study. Maybe it's more like a sermon because there's not anyone really discussing it back and forth. But I would urge you to take a look at the Bible passage if you have time, and just, take a look. Also, I think that Christians in the modern day do this way too often, where we take a passage or an idea and we use an absolute. And so I really, for me, I'm recognizing that I'm a 3D, miniature, tiny creature in a vast, vast universe with an even vaster creator who's so eternal, I couldn't possibly fathom, his eternity. We use this Bible to determine truths that he gives to us. And so when I say stuff, I'm not going to say it as absolutes. I'm speaking from my heart, and I'm speaking from the interpretation I've gathered from the passage. So please understand that. If you disagree with things I say, please put it in the comments. I'd love to hear your ideas. If you agree with it or you have a slightly different take on it, let me know. Any of that stuff would be great. I would love to have this more as a Bible study and not just be speaking my truth to you. I would also urge you, whether Christian or not, for you to study it yourself, because the really powerful thing about this book is that it has been around for thousands of years, and yet every single time that a person picks it up, even me, when I read this passage I'm about to read to you, it will hit me a different way every time. It's incredible, and I urge you to definitely read it. And if you don't have a Bible and you really don't want to invest in one because you're not sure about this whole cookie thing, you can go to a place called Bible.com, literally just anywhere online, and can access it. So I'm getting started with this passage here, and this is the passage that is my favorite. 1 Corinthians 13. It has honestly been what has kept me in Christianity for so long. I know a lot of people who get burnt out, or they, I grew up as a Christian, so, a lot of people, decide, well, that was my parents' religion, but it's not my religion. But this chapter has bonded me to God, to Christianity, Jesus, my Savior, forever. And the reason is that I believe that God, Jesus, the Holy Spirit, I believe they are the God of love. And I believe that they personify love in absolute perfection. And to me, that is worth following. That is absolutely worth following. I don't care what else is out there. In my heart, I crave love. I crave love with a depth that is eternal. And I feel like that hole can only be filled like someone who can exert eternal love. I think that's true of all human beings. And honestly, if this passage ever reaches the hearts of any individual, I think that every person on this planet wants this love in its absolute form. So, so I'm going to go ahead and start. I'm not going to start from the first 3 verses, but I'm going to start from, the first 2 run-throughs, I actually skipped the first 3 verses, but now I'm realizing that the first 3 verses also talk about love. So we're going to do that. We'll divide it into 3 sections. The first 3 verses, then the middle section is the section that everyone's probably heard of. Even if you're a non-believer, you probably have heard of it because it's in so cliched in weddings and things like that. And then we'll read the end. So we're starting with the first 3 verses in chapter 13 of 1 Corinthians. It says, "If I speak human or angelic tongues, but do not have love, I am a sounding gong or a clanging cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have all faith so that I can move mountains, but do not have love, I am nothing. And if I donate all my goods to feed the poor, and if I give my body in order to boast, but do not have love, I gain nothing. These first three verses, like when you read them, when I read them, I feel like these first three verses speak to modern day Christians. They're saying this: look, you're speaking in tongues. That's great. If you don't know what that means, by the way, no problem. You can skip over that. For the people who don't understand that, how about I speak 10 different languages and I go all over the world to preach the gospel? Okay, if you do that, but you don't have love, you're just a gong or a clanging cymbal. You're just making noise. That's what it says. That's the first verse. This is the Bible, not me, okay? Read it for yourself. Okay. Verse 2. If I have the gift of prophecy and I understand mysteries. So first, gift of prophecy. If you don't know what prophecy is, don't speak Christianese. That's okay. Prophecy is kind of like predicting the future. It's not. It's like saying this is going to happen. It's not predicting the future. It's more in depth, but basically that's kind of what it is. So let's say I have the gift of prophecy and I understand all the mysteries. Like I figured out everything. I know everything about everything. I got all knowledge and I have all the faith. I've moved this mountain over to this side of the earth. This is another biblical thing. If you're not a Christian, then maybe you don't get that. But for you Christians that hear that, I got that full faith, not a mustard seed faith, but a huge, I'm moving mountains left and right, but you still don't have love, you have nothing. Nothing. If you donate all your goods, you're doing all this good stuff. I'm giving to the poor and I'm dying because I'm a Christian. I'm going to go to whatever country kills Christians and I'm going to die for my faith, but you still have no love, then you gain nothing. These three verses, oh man, I love it. He's starting off strong. He's going after those modern day Christians or those ancient Corinthian Christians, whatever. And he's saying, look, you need love. It's not just sort of include it. It's the whole package. This whole chapter is about love being the whole package. Again, God, I believe, is perfect love. And I think if we want to understand God more, we need to understand love more. Okay? All right. So, by the way, I should have said this at the beginning, but love, the way that Paul is describing it here in the Greek, is called agape. I think in Greek, well, maybe there's more than two. I'm not a Greek philosopher, whatever. I don't do Greek, but I know there's two main words that mean love in Greek, which is like agape and eros. And eros is like, erotic or, something like that. And so, and it's sort of selfish love. It's more of a selfish love. Agape is a selfless love. So it's like thinking of a parent and the way that they are, the way they love their children. That's agape. They love their kids unconditionally, not because the kids will ever be able to do anything for them, but because they're just their kids, So that's unconditional love and selfless love. That's what we're talking about in this passage. So those are the first three verses. If you're a Christian, you might want to read those again. All right. So moving on, we're going to go to the passage parts, which is verses 4 to the beginning of 8, which we've all heard in those cliched weddings. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love does not envy. It is not boastful. It is not conceited. It does not act improperly. It is not selfish. It is not provoked and does not keep a record of wrongs. Love finds no joy in unrighteousness, but rejoices in the truth. It bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never ends. I love this. It is amazing because when you take out the whole wedding cliche, okay, because this is not Eros love, okay, and a lot of falling in love ends up being that, right? You love her because she is going to offer something back, maybe mainly her love, right? You love her, she loves you. She loves you, you love her. Like there's a bit of a cycle hopefully going on, and hopefully a little bit of, if not a lot of agape love going on too. But this is not that. It's out of context when they put it into weddings, in my opinion. In my opinion. Okay, yeah. But this agape love, I want to picture as the father looking at his daughter, or as God looking at us. So love is patient, love is kind. In this perspective, it kind of has a different look. Love does not envy. It is not boastful. It's not conceited. Okay, it's not feeling, love me because I'm the bomb, right? He's not doing that, right? Doesn't act improperly, isn't selfish, okay? It isn't provoked, doesn't keep a record of wrongs. Well, do you remember what you did before? Because you should know, doesn't do that. Finds no joy in unrighteousness, but rejoices in the truth. It bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never ends. Never ends. So we've got a God who many of us, like on the population of planet Earth, right, who have rejected him, who say, no, you don't even exist, who do evil things. He still loves us eternally. Eternally. That means no matter what you do in life, however evil you are, or think of all those evil people that have done evil things that we know of and we judge, but he still loves them eternally. I don't think that's a matter of salvation. I think there's something to be said there, but that's a different Bible passage for a different time. But God loves us eternally. I think that's incredible. That is incredible. I don't know anyone that I think I would love eternally, because no matter what, there's always something that person could do that would make me go, I don't know if I love that person now. And some of it gets really, really shallow, right? Because in the end, we love someone, but maybe it's because we really want them to love us back. And if they don't, if there's rejection involved, then maybe we're just kind of done, And so in our limited little human brains, we are just scratching the surface of this eternal God who loves us forever, which we cannot even comprehend. Like we can't even comprehend the number 1 billion, right? We use it, but we don't comprehend it. So that's interesting. Okay, that's the middle passage, the part we've all heard. Let's finish this up, starting with the next section of verse 8. But as for prophecies, they will come to an end. As for languages, they will cease. As for knowledge, it will come to an end. For we know in part, and we prophesy in part, but when the perfect comes, the partial will come to an end. When I was a child, I spoke like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. When I became a man, I put aside childish things. For now we see indistinctly, as in a mirror, but then face to face. Now I know in part, but then I will know fully, as I am fully known. Now these three remain: faith, hope, and love, but the greatest of these is love. Okay, so I'm going to break it down, because when I read this before, I used to just say my favorite passage is, verses 1 to, the beginning of 8. That's it. Because I didn't understand what else was happening here. And so I'm going to tell you how my heart has interpreted this passage, and then let me know what you think. All right, so, he says love never ends. So, love's eternal. All right? Then he goes, but as for the prophecies, they will come to an end. All right? One main prophecy that us Christians believe, like across the board, is that Christ is coming for a second time. He's coming to rescue us from this evil planet that we've kind of made for ourselves. So that is a prophecy that eventually is becoming obsolete, because Christ will come, we'll all, whatever, and go to heaven. And then that prophecy is going to become obsolete. It's going to become useless because it's done, all right? So prophecies, he's saying, is coming to an end. We're not going to need them. Languages, they're going to cease to exist. English, Arabic, Bulgarian, we're not going to need them anymore, because they're going to cease to exist. Because when we go to meet our Maker, we are going to need something that transcends language. I think it's going to be still a language, but it will be a heavenly language. Maybe not. I don't know. I mean, that's going to be interesting because it does say, as for languages, they will cease. As for knowledge, it will come to an end. The things that we think we know that are important are not going to be as important as we think. It's going to end at some point. For we know in part. That means we know a piece of the puzzle. We got a little idea. God's exposing stuff to us here, but no matter how hard we look through it, we're only going to know this much. We're just going to know so little. That's what he's saying. That's what I think he's saying. For we know in part, and we prophesy in part. That means when we prophesy, we're only sharing a little piece. We have no idea what this prophecy plays out. I'm sure Isaiah and all these other guys from thousands of years ago, before Christ came and died for us, like when they were prophesying, they weren't probably given this huge picture and going, look, this is what's going to go down, all right? And it's not going to be just you. We're going to have about 50 other prophets that are going to come and talk about something a little bit different, but sort of leaning towards the same thing so that we can make sure everyone's ready for Christ's coming and death on the cross. And so, they only got a piece. And I think that's how we're able to consume things as humans. So I thought in part, I lost myself. We know in part, we prophesy in part, but when the perfect comes, when God comes, the great creator, the perfect deity, when he comes, the partial will come to an end. Okay, so these parts, they're going to end at some point. We're not going to need to be knowing only these parts, because when he exposes himself to us, we're going to see the perfect, and everything else is going to become obsolete. Okay? Then he goes into this analogy, which I never really got until like my 30s. But it was like he starts talking about kids. What? When I was a child, I spoke like a child, I thought like a child, I reasoned like a child. So he's like, when you were a kid, you acted like a kid. But when you became a man, you put aside childish things. You stopped thinking like a kid. You stopped acting like a kid, and you did adult things. That's what he's saying. He's like, that's what these partialities are. They're kid things. They're childish things, because we are childish in the eyes of God. In our knowledge, in our everything, we're children because we literally know so little. So he's saying, when we're children, like now, we're going to act like children, but when he comes, we don't need to have these things. And then he says, for now we see indistinctly as in a mirror. I could say too, like we could use this YouTube thing, right? Like you see me indistinctly. I mean, it's pretty good, right? I hope, 4K maybe, I don't know. And it's, good quality maybe. And so, but it's still not perfect. It's indistinct. In the ancient times, mirrors were terrible. They were awful. You barely got like a sort of reflection, right? So that's kind of what they're talking about in the ancient times. But still for us, like there's indistinctly as in a mirror, but then face to face. So what's better? You seeing me in a camera, or you seeing me face to face, right? And that's what he's saying. He's saying for now, right now, when we're seeing God, when we're thinking of God, we're thinking of him in this context. But when we get to see him face to face, that's different. That changes everything. So now he goes back to it. So now I know in part, but then I'm going to know fully. And then he slips in this whole, as I'm fully known. Okay, so I think, he's trying to give this hint of God knows us fully. We're going to get so surprised, like to understand how well he intimately knows us, how well he intimately loves us. That is just so incredible to me. And then to finish this off, he says, now these three things remain. The three most important things left: faith, hope, and love. But the greatest is love. I don't know what else to say with that. I don't know why faith and hope made it on the list and not other things like peace or joy or whatever. That's something that I can dive into for another time. But it is interesting. It's going to lead me to, why is faith so important? Why is hope so important? But I do love that ending where it says the greatest of these is love. So there you go. Yeah, that's it. The only thing I'm going to say is this. If you haven't read it, I urge you, please read 1 Corinthians 13. If you don't have a Bible, you can just Google it. It'll pop up somewhere. If you're a non-believer, and you're interested in this, you haven't heard this this explanation of who God might be, then I would urge you to have a quick prayer. Even if you think you're kind of looking silly or whatever, just have a quick prayer and say, look, God, show me what this love is, and open your heart to him. I guarantee you, he is going to show you this love in some way that I cannot even describe, because he's always like doing things different for different people. So I don't know how he's going to show it to you, but if you open your heart to it, he will show it to you. And if you're a Christian, I would urge you to especially look at those first 3 verses, because a lot of times we tend to focus on our actions so much and sort of elevate ourselves so much that we forget the basics. What are we on this planet for? It's to love others the way that God is loving us. That's the only way that we can actually share the message. I can bring up John 3:16 over and over, but if it's not attached to love, it's going back to this first one. I'm just a sounding gong or a clanging cymbal. So let's remember what we are meant to be on this planet for. We're here to love people and to love God. All right. Well, this one is a little bit longer than I thought, but that's okay. I hope you enjoyed this, and please comment below if you have anything to say. And thank you for watching. Have a great day.